Hey there, William Russell here. The purpose of today's video is I'm going to show you guys and girls how to get the electricity bill. If it's something you already struggle with, um, this video is going to help you get that bill because obviously that's important for taking that next step in the sales process there for your commercial and nonprofit deals. So the reason I really made this video is I've talked to several solar companies over the phone, and they've told me that actually getting the electricity bill, whether it's important to you for you to get it before that first meeting, maybe it's before that first in-person meeting, whatever it is, I've heard from the market that, hey, it can be pretty hard to get the electricity bill. And the reason I'm making this video is because we've actually helped clients with this issue, and we've kind of figured out a way to make it not so hard. And I would like to challenge that belief there. And if this is something you struggle with, watch this video because this is important, and I think we can help you. So, first thing I want to say, the reason I'm filming this video, I run a company called Narif. We're a commercial solar marketing company, and our mission is to build the most predictable way in the world for commercial solar companies to get appointments and in front of potential decision makers at businesses looking to go solar. So let me just kind of start. I built out a list just to get a visual for us to walk through in the video. So first thing I would like to challenge you is if you believe, and I don't know how much you're like read into mindset or anything like that, but if you are someone who says, hey, it's really hard to get the electricity bill from these people, and you repeatedly say that, you actually believe that, it's kind of weird to think about, but your actions are actually going to follow that. So if you're someone who really thinks deep down that finding the electricity bill before the first meeting is just super hard, people never send it, and it's almost impossible, then you're going to act in ways that support that belief. If that's something you believe, I would just make a note of that, maybe write it down, and just start to question that belief and think of ways, I'd challenge you to consider the idea that maybe it's actually pretty easy to get the electricity bill before the first meeting or before whatever meeting you need it for, if you find the right strategy and put the right system in place. And the reason I say that is because we've actually done this before. I wouldn't be making this video if we haven't. And we've actually found it to be pretty easy once we figure out what to do. So that's the first thing, is your belief. So now I want to get into actually how you get the electricity bill and just some persuasion tactics you can use, and just some things you can test and see what works best for you. So number one thing that we found is just give them a reason. So if you're saying, let's say your structure is you book an appointment, an initial appointment, and you need to get an electricity bill before that first meeting, and you confirm the appointment and everything, and then you email them and you say, hey, will you send me an electricity bill? If you don't give them a reason to send you the electricity bill, then there's just a slightly less chance that they're actually going to send it to you. And there's a pretty interesting study about this. I don't know who conducted it, but I've read it in a couple different books now, and it's like a mental, like deep down subconscious like bias people have, is if you give them a reason, they're way more likely to do the action you'd like them to do. And there's a pretty interesting study where there's a line of people at, I think it was like they were in line to make copies of like a piece of paper at a copy machine in a library, and they did tests where people would actually walk up to the front of the line and say, hey, can I skip? And a lot of times they would say, no, you can't skip. Like, why would you skip? But if they gave a reason for why they why they would need to skip the line, and even if that reason didn't even make sense, they found that way more people would allow them to skip. So they would actually go up. I don't remember the exact reason, but they would say, hey, can I skip the line because I'm in a rush? And like, if you really think about it, that's such a dumb reason. Like, everyone's basically in a rush. Like, people are in a hurry. But because they gave that reason, even though it didn't even really make sense, people were way more likely to let them skip in line. So the reason I take that example is to kind of show you how you can position this when you're requesting the electricity bill. So give them a reason. But I'd like to take that a step farther. And I wouldn't just give them a reason. I would give them a reason that makes sense for them and how it benefits them. So I'd like to add this in here too, so that, and this is such an important phrase to get used to saying, whether it's collecting the electricity bill, whether it's trying to book them in for a meeting, whether it's, anything. I mean, you'll notice that it's anything in life. Give the reason and then say, so that you can blank. And what this question answers is it answers what's in it for me. And you'll notice when you make requests of people, we'll tie back into the electricity bill, for example, here. If you give them not only the step to take, you give them a reason, but not only a reason, but a reason that's going to benefit them. So, for example, instead of saying, hey, will you send me the electricity bill so I can put together a report for you? That kind of addresses it, but you give a reason, but the reason is more for you. It's so I can run that report for you, so I can see your savings numbers, so I can move this into the next step of the sales process. What you want to do is you want to give them a reason, but tell them why it benefits them. So I'm going to give you an example here. So what you would want to say is something like this. I will, blank, 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 whatever you said, want to address like the meeting time or whatever, and then say, please mind sending me a copy of your electricity bill before our meeting. The reason for this is so that I can have a report prepared, and this shows you exactly how much ABC company can save on electricity for the next 2 decades, and so that allowing you to have the exact tailored information you need in your decision making process. So see how it's really listing out how it's going to benefit from them, or benefit from providing you with the bill. Now, I would be a little careful about how you word this last part, because if you go a little hard there, because commercial deals, as you know, they take a few steps usually, so you don't want to say so that you can make a decision, because then that may scare them off, because they're like, oh, does this guy expect me to make a decision on commercial solar on our first meeting? Like, I don't want to do that. So what you would want to do is just give them a reason. Honestly, you could probably just get rid of this part, but you can kind of toy around with it, see what works best for you. But give them a reason on why it's going to benefit them specifically, and that's the key there. So reason, and then what's in it for me. What's in it for me is I can see exactly how much my company can save over the next 2 decades, allowing you to have the exact tailored information you need and make the meeting a lot more valuable to you. I like using this line a lot too. I use this over the phone too. So even if it's like a generic statement like that, make the meeting a lot more valuable to you. It gives them the reason to provide you with a bill. So anyway, let's move on. Make it easy. Just make it easy. If you're not already doing this, just simply send it to my email. If you give them like a bunch of crazy steps, like you ask them to photocopy it, fax it to you, pull the last 2 years of bills. It's just the more friction you add, the more difficult it's going to be. So just make it easy. Say, send me a PDF to my email, whatever works for you. I'd like to talk about micro commitments too. So this is something worth considering. This is why we like to ask for the meeting first and then ask for the electricity bill, because if you ask for the electricity bill first, that's the first commitment you're asking for. It's almost easier to accept that meeting for them, or accept that meeting invite, than it is to go back and like dig up their electricity bill. So that's kind of how we do it. We'll get them to like book in the meeting. We'll say, hey, will you please accept that meeting invite? And then once they've accepted that, we'll send them the request for the electricity bill. Just because, as you know, people, and as you probably already know, like selling commercial solar it's a chain of micro commitments. And you don't want to ask for the meeting and the electricity bill and for them to accept the invite at the exact same time, because it's just going to overwhelm them with things to do. You want to just do little micro commitments. Hey, how about Thursday at 2 p.m.? Perfect. Hey, will you please accept that meeting invite? Perfect. Hey, will you please send me the electricity bill with the reasoning below? Perfect. So little micro commitments. Don't ask for everything at once. We found that to be pretty helpful. Now, this next section is if they don't actually send you the bill in the first time, which is this is very common, and almost like 90% of the time they won't send it immediately. So you got to follow up. That's very important. And a few different strategies to consider when following up that may be able to help you out. So multi-channel follow-up. So we've noticed that just simply sending emails over and over again doesn't get the best response, whereas if we were to send the email, call them, text them, hit them from multiple different angles, and just keep reminding them, hey, will you send me the bill, because this is how it's going to help you. It's going to make the meeting way more valuable to you. And just keep emailing. We've found a lot of times when we just pick up the phone and call them, they're going to answer, and it's a lot harder to say no over the phone. Than it is for them to ignore your email. So I would consider definitely doing multi-channel follow-up. This has probably been the number one helping factor in all of this, is calling, emailing, texting if you think it's appropriate and you already have their number. Now, this is another really cool way to do it. If you still can't figure it out, try having multiple different people from your company call. And it's kind of a weird thing, but I mean, you can use it in moving deals forward too in your commercial pipeline. We always used to use it when I worked in software sales, and it was like a multi decision maker approach, or just like business to business sales in general, is just have multiple people from your company call them, so that they're not just hearing from your voice every day. Sometimes they like get a different angle, for getting that, just for the electricity bill example, but that can also be used for like any of your sales processes. Here's another one too, is the authority follow-up. And this one's pretty interesting. So as you probably already know, humans are biased towards, authority figures and listening to like people who they perceive like great authority from. So if let's just say you're just a entry-level sales rep and you're trying to get the electricity bill for the meeting, I would consider maybe having like the VP of sales reach out, or even the CEO, if that's how your company works, because that authority, if you have the CEO calling instead of just a sales rep calling, that authority is more likely to get them to take that action of sending you the electricity bill. So that's something you could also try too if you're still having trouble tracking that bill down, and obviously if the VP or their CEO at your company is open to it. Now, last thing you may want to consider is, again, if you're just a sales rep and you're just, your job is to call people all day. I've been there before, and it's a fun job. And, this is something that you could probably just somewhat wing it and just email, call them, just hammer them until you get the bill from them. But I mean, if you're running a business and this is even something you want to systematize, this is obviously something you could definitely systematize and even track the metrics on. So something like this, and even if you're a sales rep, you could actually build out a sequence to where, you hit them with email, phone call, and it's all kind of automated for you, where you just perform the tasks. But this is an example, if you were considering systematizing this, you do, to get the electricity bill, you book the meeting. Let's say the meeting is 4 days out. You do an email one request for the electricity bill, and then you do a phone call. Let's say you still don't have that bill. Next day, send another email. Then have someone else from your company call them, and then you send them a text. And then maybe maybe day 3, you send them a third email. Maybe you have the authority give them a call, the authority figure at your company give them a call. And then another thing you can try is also, we found this pretty helpful too, is you can just call the front desk at the company and just say, hey, we have a meeting scheduled with Jessica. We really need that electricity bill. Will you tell her to send it over? And sometimes them hearing it from someone at their company, instead of hearing it from you, it can sometimes, we've found that they're more likely, can sometimes be more likely to actually send it over. Or that can just be that last little tipping point when, someone at their company says, hey, Jessica, you got that meeting tomorrow. They said, will you please send the electricity bill? So that's kind of overall what we do and what we found works. Again, follow up and just try different angles. I mean, it's gonna work, especially if you have the meeting already scheduled. That's so important too, because they've already committed to the meeting. So if you just position it to say, hey, the electricity bill is going to be so important for this meeting you've already scheduled, and it's going to be so important for you because blank blank blank, and then you just not don't call them 1,000 times a day, but you could be, I mean, because you got the meeting scheduled, you've already got your foot in the door. So phone call, text, email, try different approaches, different people at your company, emailing them, and believe that it's easy. It really is. It's not that hard. You just got to try different strategies and, figure out what works for you, systematize it, track the metrics, and you'll have this down pat. And anyway, that's all the points I had for this. Now, if you do need help filling up your commercial solar pipeline, that is something we do. Again, no, it doesn't really matter at all. There's just a link below if you want to hear more about how we help commercial solar companies land more appointments. Follow that link. If not, all good. I'm just going to go ahead and wrap it up here. I appreciate you so much for watching it. Please like, comment, and subscribe to the video. And of all those 3 actions, I would love it if you commented some ideas on videos that would be helpful for you, because that way I'll get feedback from you on new videos to make, and then I can provide more value to you on videos I feel qualified making, and then everyone wins. So I appreciate it. Again, thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate you taking 16 minutes out of your day to watch the video. Thank you so much, and I hope you have an amazing day. Goodbye.